I'm just going to say this tweet because this one here, I don't have any of the answers. But it's kind of fun to think about. So leave me a comment below with your thoughts on this. This is a named tweet. It's called Circular Reasoning. Circular Reasoning. Maybe we will talk about it a bit. I may have done some circular reasoning in this video, or maybe not. Circular Reasoning. Question 1. What's the connection between our inability to precisely calculate pi, because it's been done to over 1 trillion decimals, and quantum physics? What is the connection between our inability to precisely calculate pi and quantum physics? Question 2. Is there a universe or dimension where pi is calculable? And question 3. How does everything is a circle? Everything is a circle hold up? And I put this tweet up for Pi Day. Pi Day 2019. So let's talk about it just a little bit. So the first question is, what's the connection between our inability to calculate pi precisely, and quantum physics? Now, quantum physics is a complicated area. I am not a scientist. Well, I might be a social scientist, but I am not I'm not a physics expert. I am not a scientist of physics. So I know that the world of quantum physics is complicated, and there are some areas that are less defined than others. There are some places where people have confusion over terms. You have things that are more observable and things that aren't. Things such as entanglement. People tend to agree there's entanglement going on. There's a large consensus around that, but there's other things like the way that waveforms break down. There's different questions. Different scientists are performing the scientific method, and they're coming to different conclusions about that. One scientist says this, another says that, and the truth lies most likely somewhere in between, right? So I don't really have much knowledge on that. You'll need to seek subject matter experts on the actual math and the physics, the nuts and bolts of that. But these are good questions. I once heard Stephen Hawking, the famous scientist, say, it's not his place. As he got older in his life, he said, it's not my place to be running point, to be at the edge of discovery and exploration of our universe. But it's now a time where I feel content, and I'm paraphrasing here, asking questions, asking important questions, so that the up-and-coming young, bright scientists of the world can answer them. That they have a goal, they have questions to answer, they have, new frames of reference, new paths to travel epistemologically, and to perform the scientific method and to search and to try to find the answers to these pressing questions that I or Stephen Hawking or anyone else might present. So I don't know the answer to what that connection may be, but I believe there is something to that. Precisely calculating pi and quantum physics, because quantum physics, of course, you have, people look at things from two different vantage points, and they see something different. Reality appears different. And so people are wondering, just how random is it, and can it be? We have quantum computing. Can it be harnessed? Can this power be harnessed to do new things? And then we have to ask, because there are other things too, like the multiverse, multiple world theory. Is there a universe or dimension where pi is calculable? We can't do it here. It doesn't seem we can do it. Over 1 trillion decimals is quite a lot. So, is there a dimension? Are there other dimensions? Is there another universe where, maybe it's not just 3D or 4D, there isn't just time and space-time, but maybe there's other dimensions. Okay, I believe some people say there are 10, some people say there are more. Then you get into meta dimensions and all these different things. It makes you wonder, is there a universe or dimension where pi is calculable? And then you say, question number 3, how does everything is a circle hold up? Now, a lot of our systems in this world, on this planet, the mortal plane that is Earth, the human beings that observe it, we have a lot of things in this world that feel circular. They have a cycle to them. Moralism, for example. Only 15 years ago, common sense was a different thing. Common sense means something different to every generation, to every situation. So, moralism, it seems, when we're talking about just the United States, 15 years ago you heard a whole lot, and the moralists are still there, but you heard a whole lot from the right, the evangelicals, about what you should and shouldn't do. There was moral panic about this, satanic panic, and heavy metal, marijuana. Marijuana is effectively legal in the United States now, by the way. It's effectively legal. If they're not enforcing it much on a federal level, well, it's effectively legal. It's more of a state issue. And I do believe that when the time comes, we should take marijuana off of Schedule 1, where it doesn't really belong. But we have moralism that runs in circles. So before, it was more the right, or the conservatives, saying, hey, prophets of the modern religion of censorship, you are correct. We should silence people and find moral virtue and universal truth by removing voices from the discussion. And now it seems that the left is more authoritarian on this. Maybe it's because the left has taken over culture a little bit more. Popular culture is a little bit more liberal, as it were. But there's this talk, people think that it's moralistic, it's helping the world to silence people, to remove their right of freedom of speech. And they might even go and say, well, freedom of speech is defined in the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America, and that's all the free speech is. It's not a larger philosophical concept. No, for the purposes of my argument, if the government isn't infringing on your free speech, well, it's just fine. Anybody else that wants to infringe on your right to speak, to make your voice known, to make your opinion known, to make your views known, just peachy. That's why I'm a bit agnostic on the modern religion that is censorship. I believe that all voices matter, and yes, there are limits to free speech. There are limits, credible threats, doxing, you have slander, libel, defamation. You have unconsented pornography, situations of direct harm, crying, fire in a crowded theater. There are places where we have to decide as a society, well, enough is enough. You're kind of causing a problem here. People are getting hurt. There is a moral issue here. What's happening is immoral. We do have situations like that, but I like to err on the side of free speech absolutism. You'll hear me talk about that a lot on this channel. But just speaking of moralism, everything is a circle. Everything is a circle. What goes around comes around, because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So there is this, and that generally holds true, that there are forces and counterforces. There are, positive, negative, there's balance in this world. There's a balance to things. Some people call it karma. There's also karma. There's all these different ways you can frame reality. Some of it's superstitious, some of it irrational, but other parts are quite rational and logical. Just don't take that from somebody that has rational or logical in their username. You may have a bad time. So these are good questions. How does everything is a circle hold up? There are so many things in this world that are running in a circular pattern. Perhaps everything is a circle. Perhaps it isn't. Let me know in the comments section below.